Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast, co-starring 10-year NBA center Ryan Hollins.
Couple pump fakes, leans in, shot blocked by Ryan Hollins. Hollins sent that into the third row.
6 rebounds and 8 assists.
Hollins climbs the stairs.
Down the floor. Ryan Hollins! He is the high jumper!
That's what I want to see. Give me some gunpowder and throw the hammer down.
And now, here is your host,
Let's send it over to Ric Bucher.
Ric Bucher.
Welcome to yet another episode of Bucher and Hollins, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast network. I'm Ric Bucher. You can read my stuff on Bleacher Report. You can find me on Twitter at Ric Bucher. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. And he is Ryan Hollins. Needs no other introduction. Probably already had it at the beginning of this podcast. But you can follow him on Twitter at the Ryan Hollins. You can see him on ESPN, NBA TV. Had the day off, though, prepping heartily for this podcast. So I know that he's going to be bringing his A game. And is probably enjoying what he perceives as a victory, in that so in our last podcast, we served as captains, honorary captains. We picked our respective all-star teams, not from those that were voted as the tradition, as the way the regular all-star game goes, but we simply had the opportunity to choose who we wanted to make all-stars and have on our team. And I didn't check the last results of the poll, but you were comfortably ahead. I'll say that. I'm not sure that anything's changed, but I'm really not. I'm actually more nervous when the majority agrees with me. Looking at where the state of our country is, the majority doesn't make me feel good being part of the majority.
Oh,
So,
Rick, don't do that. Don't try to find an angle,
What?
man.
What?
You're trying to find an angle. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. You're just in. People see that nice smile and the good hair. They forget how incredibly competitive you are, my friend. You are a competitor. Okay, so come on, Rick.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your victory. Now, we've actually had the official starting lineups announced today. And for the Western Conference, the All-Star starters are LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Paul George, Stephen Curry, James Harden. In the East, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, and Kemba Walker. Now, I can tell you, I'm part of the. It used to be that only the fans voted. Then they weren't really happy with some of the results. So now it's 50% fan vote, 25% player vote, and 25% media vote. I'm one of those that votes for the media. And I have to tell you that it looks as if my lineups are intact here. I went with the West. Those were all the people that I voted for as starters. And in the East, the only difference is that I voted for Victor Oladipo over Kemba Walker. And actually, I would have put Kyle Lowry in ahead of Kemba Walker. No offense to Kemba Walker, just for where their team is and for, I don't know. I overall, I weigh impact overall, and I would give it to those two guys ahead of Kemba. But nonetheless, congratulations to Kemba Walker. And I feel as if, Ryan, I've been talking for, just 4 minutes. Okay. Hasn't been that long. But I haven't given you a chance. I haven't really given you a chance to weigh in here. What do you make of the all-star starters in the East and the West?
Well, I will bring this up. I mean, nothing really surprised me. I don't think there's maybe a minor difference, but Gilbert Arenas said that we messed up our draft in the sense that we were supposed to pick captains, but you wanted to do it your way.
Yeah.
But he brought out, he said, well, why weren't you guys starting off as one of the captains? We said, well, that's how Rick wanted to do it. So that was Gilbert Arenas sending his 2 cents over to you.
Okay, so just to be clear, were you defending me or were you placing the blame on me?
No, I just stated the facts.
No. Okay, so you were blaming me. So you were blaming me.
No.
You know what? No. What is that? That is that. No, I got your back, Rick. That's what you should have said. I got your back. I told Gil, look, we like doing it this way.
Yeah,
What did he want us to do?
Well, he just said that since, kind of according, it's Giannis and it's LeBron. Those are the captains. And the way we did it, they weren't kind of the captain's picks. So he's like, why weren't you guys Team Giannis or Team LeBron?
Oh, so we were picking on behalf of those two guys?
Well, ideally, yeah, we would have.
Well, but what difference does it make? Because we ended up splitting. Like, I got LeBron and you got Giannis. So what's the big deal? What's the big difference? If one of us had both of them, then I could see where, Gil might have a case. But what's he complaining about?
Yeah, but it's not Team Giannis and Team LeBron.
No, it's Team Hollins and Team Bucher. You know why? Because it's our freaking podcast.
No, you're right. You're right. But, I don't think it would have. One of us ended up with the other. And if I'm not mistaken, I got Giannis with like the third pick. Like, thanks, Rick. Thank you. Maybe other than your friends and family, they may feel like you got a better team than me. But this would.
Yeah, you know what? I picked Joel Embiid instead of Giannis as my second pick.
Thank you.
And then I picked James Harden.
And then you pick Pascal.
I picked the prohibitive MVP. Who's going to win MVP? You've told me all season long James Harden's going to win MVP over Giannis.
I love that. I love that. Hey, no, we're not questioning that. I love that Giannis pick. I love that pick. But as far as my team, the way my team is stacked, I'm good.
You have a good team. I think I have a better team, but ultimately we'll never find out because this is just an exercise. I'm just trying to get to the heart of Gil, like jumping in on this, and then you kind of siding with him. This player backing player, former player backing former player, rather than podcast host backing fellow podcast host.
Well, my team.
The allegiances here are bothering me a little bit.
No. My team is better. I don't think it was like I wasn't like throwing you under the bus, Rick. It was just kind of like
no, you're just holding the door and letting Gil do it.
Yeah, that's how we did it. That's what Rick wanted to. Because I asked you, and you're like, "Nah, this is how we're doing it." So I stayed out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're the guy. Yeah. Okay. You're the guy who's standing there. Hey, I wasn't. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. That was them over there. I didn't do that. Okay, I see how it is. That's all right. That's all right.
I'm making you aware, Rick. I don't know. I didn't think it was that. I know you're taking a lot of flack because everybody gets really excited anytime you make a list. Everybody gets fired up and you choose. It's a no-brainer.
Am I really taking that much flack? I haven't.
I had a couple people message me and go, "Yo, y'all might want to redo this. This is disgusting." Like they're really embarrassed.
See, what's funny is. They messaged you. They didn't message me.
Have you checked your mentions lately?
Well, no, but you're not really inspiring me to. Maybe I'll just let a day or two go by and keep it moving. Oh, all right.
I think the poll might be around 95. To 5.
Seriously? No, it's not that. No. I did look at one point and it was like 73 to 27. Which is pretty lopsided. In any event, all right.
Let's check. Can we see who voted for you? There's about 412 votes right now. I think Diane gave you some love.
She did?
Yeah, Diane Cooper.
Wow.
She probably felt bad for you.
Because she's a big fan of yours. And you know what? And I think that was a mention that I saw. I think she wrote "The Truth Hurts." So she must have responded to you. Like you felt bad. Like you're like, what?
Oh, Rick.
Yeah.
Quick question. Yes. If Greek and LeBron are captain, how is Curry and Durant on the same team? If Greek takes KD, LeBron will take Curry. So they wouldn't be in the same team unless you think Greek takes KD and LeBron will take Harden, which he wouldn't. So Curry and KD wouldn't be in the same team. That's Gilbert Arenas. You see, people don't realize Gilbert's a nerd.
Yes,
Gilbert's
he is.
Freakily intelligent, like crazy.
We
smart.
Let's have him on the podcast.
Of course. We may have to do like a trade-off.
Yeah.
He has the No Chill podcast.
Tit for tat. We can do that.
No, I'm in, Rick.
All right. We'll make that happen. In the meantime, what I like too is Giannis said that he was going to pick both Embiid and Russ Westbrook.
Oh, I knew you'd like that. Yep, I did see that.
I love that. I love that. Giannis gets extra points for me for that. Okay, there's a couple other things that I want to get to on this particular podcast, aside from our the teams that we selected, et cetera, and that we needed to talk about this after we finished the last podcast because we realized that both of us had left Ben Simmons off of our teams. Are you having any second thoughts about having done that?
No, not at all. I mean, it's not like I wouldn't mind if he was on a team.
And he will. He'll get picked. He'll get picked to the regular All-Star game.
You got to understand, this is more of a you thing because you got to the point where you start just drafting guys that you like. Like, I like him as a person. He's a first-timer. And somehow Simmons was, like, I still had a very quality list where you go, I don't mind him being left off that. But, like Rick, all
right, name a guy on my team that you think does not deserve to be an All-Star this year.
Oh, you threw Corey Brewer on there.
I didn't. Shut up. I do like Corey Brewer, though.
I do too. That's my dude. Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah. Okay.
You could have left him off.
Wow. Okay.
Drew Holiday. You could have left Drew off. They're like the worst team in the NBA right now. Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns and Drew Holiday, bro. You just.
You know what? I'm going to blame you. I'm going to blame you partially. Because the Pelicans don't deserve 2 All-Stars. That's for damn sure.
Yo. How do I get blamed for that, though?
Because didn't you have Anthony Davis? You had Anthony Davis on your team.
Yeah.
So what, I'm supposed to avoid Drew Holiday because you picked AD?
I mean, I don't think Drew Holiday would be surprised to be picked as an All-Star right now. And like Ben Simmons is in the East,
but
as far as being voted. I mean, Rick, I'm just saying, man. Like my team was stacked already, so I left off Ben Simmons, this wasn't like a big deal.
But look, you have some names here. You have some names. AD being one. Klay Thompson has had a couple of really outstanding games, and I love his game, but he hasn't been an All-Star this year. From October to now, he has not been an All-Star. He's come on of late, but you go look at the numbers. You go look at October, November, December. He was not very good.
I don't know if you go that far, Rick. I think you might be pushing it, Rick. He did have a span that wasn't great. That he did, but I think you might be pushing it. Telling the guy he's not an All-Star. Because you got to understand, a lot of you guys tenure in. And unless they just have
They tenure in?
They tenure in. And when I say that, just say a first-time All-Star has to, like, you got to get over the edge. You got to prove it because you're going to bump a guy off who essentially had been there already. And you can't tell me that you're going to bump off guys like Lillard or even like a Aldridge who's kind of like took their lumps. And that was the big frustrating part from them is that they were saying when they didn't get voted on, they felt like they had a good enough year.
Yeah.
And they didn't get on. So I'm trying to figure this out, like how you put a couple of guys in there that shouldn't have been there, Rick.
Well, but see, and this is why I think you won in the court of public opinion, because you took guys that are tenured, and I looked at just based on largely the way guys have played this year. That's why. That's where a Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday. Do you know what place his team is in?
I know what place his team is in.
No, you don't.
Yes,
no,
I do.
No, you don't. There's no way.
They're 20. I know they're as of right now, as we're recording this, they're 22 and 27.
And he deserves to be an All-Star?
Well, if he doesn't deserve to be an All-Star, then Anthony Davis doesn't deserve to be an All-Star.
Oh, stop.
No. If Anthony Davis is all that, as he has been claimed as being all that for year upon year upon year, how is his team 22 and 27?
Look, man.
Their record is better without him and with Holiday than with Davis and without Holiday.
Because of the impact he has on the game and the numbers he's putting up. In the 40 and 20s, in the way he's doubled and triple teamed every single night. So when the coaches look on the scouting report, they say, dang, Drew Holiday is good. If Drew Holiday gets in gear, we're going to have a long night ahead of us. But they say this AD, we're doubling, triple teaming him. And then he's fouling at our guys. And then we can't guard him one-on-one. So that alone, he's going to be in the game, Rick. He's going to be in the game. And for a team that is underachieving, you pretty much get one guy based on talent. Now, if your team is ahead in the West, like, you know, for instance, like Milwaukee or Toronto, granted, could get two guys. And if you're even like Milwaukee, since they're hot, normally the number one team can kind of slide in two. Golden State, had 3 or 4 that one year? I mean, it could be an Eric Bledsoe possibly sneaking in or, you know, somebody like that. But that's just the norm, Rick.
I've watched plenty of games this year where Anthony Davis was not double and triple teamed. It doesn't happen every night. There are teams, plenty of teams, that dare him to beat them. And he may put up big numbers. He's always put up good numbers. The box scores always look good. They're not always winning numbers. And that's what troubles me.
Oh, that's obvious. I'm just saying where AD shows. You see, I may say the guy's not an MVP. He's not with everybody. But, I mean, you're telling me the guy's not at all. I mean, Rick, you're going too far on this one, Rick. You're going too far on this one, Rick. And then you put in Drew Holiday. This is all over Drew Holiday.
I know. What a hill to die on. Drew, you owe me, bro. You owe me big time. All right. Let's
remind me never to play Scrabble or any type of card game with you, bet, or anything. There's just nothing getting casual.
Pretty much anything. Yeah, pretty much anything. Okay. What else did I want to get to? So, no second thoughts about Ben Simmons. Look, I don't have a problem with Ben Simmons being an all-star. I think the question
is more for you. Yeah, it's more for you, not for me, by the way. So
shut up. Shut up. No, I don't have a problem with him being left off. I would like to see, I don't know if it's going to happen. Obviously, I didn't pick him for my team. How do you feel if Derrick Rose is selected to the West as a sentimental pick?
I have no problem. We haven't shown respect in the NBA for a long time, so it'd be nice for he and Wade to get in. I think he's really carried the load in Minnesota, kind of carrying the wave of that 50-point game. And you know this would be really his last time in. But, I mean, D Rose is having a heck of a year, man. So I've got no problem with that.
He's playing under 30 minutes, and he's averaging 19 points. And his game hasn't always been about the box score. But the dude is shooting 42% from three-point range. That's astounding. I'm going to take a quick look at his year by year. I guarantee you that
number is just going to look disgusting. I think his MVP year, he shot really well. He was on one. But he's fixed his balance back on his shot.
He's never shot higher than 34% for a season.
Yeah, but let's not that way too much on that because he shot a bulk number of threes, a tough amount of threes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, no. For sure. I mean, look, I don't know that they've ever appreciated the load that he had to carry for Chicago in winning MVP. And that's why, you know, when people get into the statistics and shooting percentage and all that bull, it's like Derek was all about winning the damn game. And if he got a shot up and he drew 3 defenders, he knew that Joakim Noah was going to have an easy putback. Like some of the time it was just let me draw everybody to me, get the ball up on the rim. If it goes, great. If it doesn't, we got an easy bucket. And I don't care that I get a field goal attempt out of it. I mean, his mindset was never to have like I got to have a pretty box score. That doesn't even enter into Derek's mind. It's what do I need to do to have us win? And he went to the point of sacrificing his body. Look, either way he gets picked, if he gets picked, I would love it. I've often said we put too much emphasis on calling somebody an all-star. And while I think that for the most part, we got it right, and I like the new system involving players, media, and fans so that it's just not a popularity vote. You don't have guys who haven't played or
Zaza winning it, the whole Republic of Georgia voting around the clock.
Things like that. Or even, Vince, and I love Vince, but Vince being the leading vote getter or Yao being hurt. Guys who aren't even playing being leading vote getters just because out of what you said, they're tenured and the popularity vote. I like that we have it where it is and then it makes some sense.
As you try to get Dwayne Wade into the game, Rick.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing. Like, I always, what is the All-Star Game? The All-Star Game is this highfalutin exhibition, and you'd have guys like Yao or Antonio Davis or guys that they were selected All-Stars, but they're not really, they don't have All-Star games, if you know what I mean. It's all flash and dash. So why not, like for me, White Chocolate. White Chocolate is the perfect all-star player. I want to see him doing his crazy stuff out there. Now, we'd have to change what we consider the definition of an all-star because we equate it with great players, right? It's not always. Sometimes it's like great / popular player. And look, Rod Strickland. Rod Strickland was never an all-star. Are you kidding me? You got to be kidding me. How many times was Rasheed Wallace an all-star?
I'm not going to dive completely into that because you got to look at who was on. Before you look at who was off,
Rod Strickland led the league in assists one year. Rod Strickland was a killer.
You got to look. I'm not doubting Rod Strickland. That's a bad man right there. But I'm just saying you got to think about who was on. You got to see those lists. You can't just get caught up in, oh, he didn't make it, and he should have been on and yada, yada, yada. Like, we got to look at that in entirety.
But
even when Damian Lillard was missing the game, you had a Tony Parker playing at a high level. You had Chris Paul. You had Westbrook. You had a number of those guys. Like, your first time on, Rick, and I think you're missing this. Your first time on as an all-star, you gotta prove it. You gotta prove it.
I get that, but here's the problem: is that you prove it 1 year, and now what? Now you're grandfathered in multiple years. Like I don't agree with that.
Yeah, well, you're not just grandfathered in. You just don't have to have that life changing. Oh my goodness, like type of year. Like you don't have to have as like just a wild year.
See, this is the problem, though. See, you're skewing toward what I feel is, okay, all-star is kind of this mantle that you wear because of what you've done and the kind of game you have. Antonio Davis was an all-star. Nobody was looking to get him in a second time. No, he was rewarded because he had a really good year. We've seen that with a variety of guys.
Okay, let me ask you something. In boxing, when you beat the champ,
you're gonna go to another sport on me here?
Do you? No. I want to throw this out. In boxing, when you beat the champ, do you have to knock him out, or are you gonna go to a decision when you're gonna take somebody's belt away?
No, you gotta knock him out. But we're talking.
You gotta knock him out, bro. This is the same darn thing. If you're gonna take somebody off the All-Star game, you can't have similar numbers to a 10-year vet, an NBA champion, a guy who's done it before. So that's not just popularity. I got to be unanimous in how I take this.
But see, here's my point on that, is that many people, I think the prevailing notion historically and directly at any given time is that when you're named an all-star, you're the best at that time. And that's just not the case. Like all pro, all pro is end of the season. Guys had a great year, proven, whatever. I would much rather change kind of the definition of all-star and expand the all-pro teams so that you do recognize guys who have great seasons, but then make it like these are the great players from this season. They're the all-pros. They're on the all-NBA teams. All-star is just the guys that we the great players that we want to see play together in this exhibition in the middle of the season. Make it that. Don't give it more meaning because, as you said, like the definition starts to get fuzzy. Is it what? It's a guy who's been an all-star before and he's still good. And since he was dominant at one point, when we want to, he's still playing and we want to keep him in. And meanwhile, you got guys who they may have like one great season or one half a great season, and they're never an all-star. That season is never recognized, and it's not going to be recognized on all NBA because there's fewer spots.
Rick, I'm gonna take the time right now, and I want to shout out your daughter because she had a heck of a game and she put in work, and I want to talk about that as we finish this pod.
Yeah,
we want to talk about that because this is our pod, and this is a big moment in the Bucher household. Let me tell you one thing, Rick, right now.
Yeah.
You are getting into these friendship awards, and I don't know if you've been spending too much time in the youth gyms, the AAU circuit. What the heck has gotten into you? What in the world has gotten into you, Rick? We're talking about friendship awards right now.
Yes,
that's what you're telling me. Yeah. There's an all NBA first team, and there's an all NBA second team, bro, and that is it. That is it. We are not going down the list. We are not. But we do have
third. Actually, there's a third team. There is a third team.
What are you complaining for?
Because that's 15 players, and we pick 24 that we name as all-stars. And I think people see all-star and all-NBA as interchangeable, and they're not. All-star is a much fuzzier recognition. And I want clarity. That's what I want. And yes, I'm fine with the all-star selections being the all friendship awards.
Oh,
like we just like to watch these dudes get together and play and dunk on each other and shoot 50-foot threes and be crazy and do all that. Like, just make it that. Don't make it this quasi. Are we picking guys because they've had the best first half of this season, or because they've been good in the past and they're still good? What is it? What are we doing? And by the way, so we have the fans, the media, and the players picking the starters, and then we have the coaches who pick the next 7, and they're going by an entirely different criteria. They're going by they're not grandfathering people in. They want to reward guys not only who are having good seasons, but that they think are good guys. Like they hold this as a stick.
Rick, coaches do the same thing because contrary to Rick Bucher's belief, sometimes all those things don't show up in the numbers. Like a Tony Parker may have averaged only 17 points, where another guy averaged more, but Tony Parker is the engine behind the Spurs team at the time. So Tony Parker, if starting and being consistent enough, is going to get over the nod over a guy who actually has better numbers, Rick.
All right, hold on. I need to look up something.
You're out of control. Is this how bad you want to be right now? You got to go look up something?
Yeah.
So, Rick, what I'm saying as far as the coach's standpoint, the coaches you earn your stripes, dude. That's the name. That is the name of the game in just sports in general, Rick.
This is what tells
certain guys have earned their stripes.
This is what tells the lie to what you're suggesting.
Okay, what you got?
The Atlanta Hawks, 2014-15 season. Remember, they had 4 All-Stars: Al Horford, Paul Millsap, Jeff Teague, and Kyle Korver. Who are we grandfathering in there? And were they so great? Were they so great?
Rick, they're their number 1 team in the East, if not the NBA at that time.
Which conference? Which conference?
They were the number one team in the East, if not in the NBA at that time.
It was the Eastern Conference, though, right?
And they were balling, Rick. And keep in mind, you just named Eastern Conference.
Okay, so now we're giving All-Star. We're giving All-Star selections because of the team. Well, then the Toronto Raptors. Then Kyle Lowry should definitely be an All-Star this year, along with Kawhi Leonard.
There's a potential for that, but
Pascal Siakam should be. Kyle, I picked him. Yeah, Kyle, my guy.
Look, bro, Kyle has been disgusting this year. He's been okay. He's been disgusting. I don't know if he's hurt. He's not happy. He's his feelings, whatever it is. But if he had just a half of a year, there would be no question. But Kyle whatever he's going through over there, I don't know. So don't quote me. But he would be with the success that they're having. And they're kind of jockeying back and forth with Milwaukee. And Milwaukee really doesn't have a second All-Star. I would think Eric Bledsoe might be that guy. So having the number one seed is a big value. It really means something. I mean, you know what? Middleton maybe also. We have to concern. But one of those guys is going to get in because of the record of their team. That extra guy goes to the number one team because you see the consistency in how the team is playing, Rick.
They had 4 All-Stars. They didn't even finish with the best record in the league.
That's not the point, Rick. That's not the point, Rick. I'm saying at that point they had the best record, and they were like blasting people, bro. Like Bud had them. Shout out to Mike Budenholzer again. He's doing it with Milwaukee, and at that time with Atlanta, I mean, they were blasting people. Dude, they were blasting dudes. There was no question of what Atlanta was doing. Am I wrong? Am I wrong, Rick?
Well, they didn't start out great. They started 8-6, and then they went on a run.
And then it got ridiculous. Yeah, it got ridiculous.
But okay.
Those guys were on one. I'm telling you.
I get that. But you're telling me that if a guy's selected as an all-star, it's because he is blowing out of the water the guy who had been in his stead before. You're telling me that Kyle Korver, Jeff Teague, Al Horford.
The team with the best record in the NBA, they probably had the best record in the NBA. They deserved it. Yeah. Those teams, absolutely, Rick. Absolutely. Best record in the league.
We're not going to resolve this today. We might by the time, the podcast is 10, 15 years old, but we're not going to resolve it. We're not going to resolve it today. And we have a couple other things that we do have to get to. Before we get to our picks against the spread and the over-under, and as of right now, I believe there's only 4 of Friday night 7 or 10 games that are up. So we will pick on those 4, and then we'll provide the others on Twitter along with it. Not something that I know you like to do because you never pick as well, but nonetheless. So we've seen DeMarcus Cousins for a couple games, and the Warriors have not lost since he's come back. And people are like, oh my God, it's over. Who can stop this team now that they've added DeMarcus Cousins? Now that they have 5 All-Stars, even though they don't have 5 All-Stars, but 5 guys who've been All-Stars. Are you drinking that Kool-Aid?
Heck yeah, I am. They've got the longest win streak in the league.
Current.
I mean, hot darn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Are you kidding me? They're back.
Wait a minute. They've won. I think they've won 8 or 9 in a row. They haven't won 11.
Do you know the second closest streak? It's probably not even close, bro. Because everybody's just been beating the mess out of each other in the league right now. So there's
the Warriors have won 9 in a row.
That is as competitive as the NBA is right now. That is obscene, Rick. That is obscene. Maybe it's not what you're used to with the Warriors, and I get it. I know you're up there in the Bay. I know you see them a lot. Those are your guys. You have great ties. Absolutely Warriors insider anytime you want. But Rick, you cannot tell me that they're not head and shoulders better than everybody else right now. And then the fact that it is as much as I want to have somebody knock them off the throne, we got to know who else we believe in. Come on, like LeBron, I'm nervous if you even want to come back.
Okay, so just hold on a second. Okay, just hold on a second when it comes to, because not all 9-game winning streaks are created equal. Can I run down the teams that they've beaten? in this 9-game winning streak. Can I do that for you?
Let me hear it.
Let's start with Sacramento. Then we go to New York. Then we go. I know I'm not literally going to New York. It was in Sacramento, home against the Knicks, home against the Bulls. Go to Dallas. Go to Denver.
Good
against
win.
New Orleans.
Hey, hold on. They put hands on Denver.
Yes,
they put them paws on Denver.
Yes, quality win there. New Orleans, Clippers, Lakers
is a good team.
Wizards.
Look, man, when I'm telling you, like, Rick,
slow down.
Listen,
slow
Rick,
down.
I worked that game against the Clippers. When they beat the Clippers, Boogie's first game back, it wasn't just like oh, they beat the Clippers. It was like, yo, we're in a different ballpark.
Dude, that was Boogie's first game. You knew that they were going to be geeked up, and the Clippers are struggling.
That should be more of a deterrent. That should put them further behind, because you got a guy who hadn't played basketball in darn near over a year.
Are the Denver Nuggets the only team with a winning record that they played in that stretch? I believe
the Clippers don't have a winning record now. Come on, Rick.
The Clippers have a winning record. No, I take that back. Clippers are 26. Clippers are 26 and 22. They've lost 6 of their last 10. We know that they're struggling. Clippers have a winning record. The Nuggets have a winning record, and the Kings are currently 24 and 24. But we're talking nine games. They played 3 teams with winning records. It's a good run. It's not a world-beating run.
I'm not looking at the strength of the schedule and not fighting that, but I'm trying to tell you, Rick, they are back. They are in shape. They look, and listen, I want more than anything for them to get knocked off. I want to see something competitive. I want to be worried about a matchup. I don't want to just be blindly picking Golden State. Like, I want to really have to, have some concern there.
Right.
But, hey, man, they're back. It is what we saw before. And it's a little different with Boogie. And that's okay.
I'll say this when it comes to Boogie. I was curious how good of a passer he was on a good team. He's a good passer. And he's probably a better passer than I gave him credit for when we broached this subject previously.
So can you credit me for saying he was a good passer?
I'll give that to you. I'll give that to you.
That's kind of why I trust it working.
I'll give that to you. And he's shooting the 3 very well. The team, obviously, I think from an intangible standpoint, having some fresh blood, having somebody that these guys are rallying around and want to have success for is a very big, important thing when it comes to the Warriors. Now, the flip side is when he's not on the floor with those scorers, he cannot lead an offense right now. He doesn't have the mobility. The Lakers, once the Warriors studs went off, they had a field day against Boogie. And he fouled out because he's trying to buffalo people right now. If he's not spotting up for threes or working out of the high post passing the ball, I like the screens that he's setting. I like the passing. But let's slow our roll where we got Boogie like leading the second unit if need be and giving everybody a blow. And that to me has always been the issue here is the depth of the Warriors not being there for the long haul and what condition they're going to be at the end of this year. And that has not changed with what I've seen from Boogie to this point.
Okay, Rick, I hear that, but you're talking as if there's not 3 studs on that side. Like, okay, we got to keep 2 in instead of everybody go to the bench when Boogie's in. All right, then, you act like that. I would be all in on that, but you act like there's not a plethora, like an abundance of scoring there or guys who can get stuff done.
No. I see that. And look, I'm not saying that they're not great, and I'm not saying that they can't come out of the West still. But the concerns that I've had from the beginning of the year about the tread on the tires being thin and the bench not being deep enough, nothing has changed for me with Cousins being there. And what really kind of galls me is that, yes, Boogie is a presence and he's skilled. And look, I was touting him as the best big man in the league when everybody was hating on him. So I'm a Boogie believer. But what I've seen of him, everybody's acting like they're blowing teams out because they now have Boogie Cousins. They would have been blowing these teams out with or without him at this point. They would have a 9-game winning streak if Boogie were still on the shelf. So what troubles me is this narrative now that, look at what Boogie has added. How is anybody ever going to beat this team? I'm just not buying into that part of the narrative.
I don't think that that's the story. But Rick, the exact point that you just made is that you question their depth and if they have enough to rest guys. And if you can put 2 all-stars or go on a 2 and a 2, and I don't even know if you count Draymond as an all-star anymore, however you want to do that.
Right.
Those guys have an opportunity to rest, Rick. That's the whole deal.
Okay, so, and you know what? And I need to see that. I need to see, not in these games where they're going up by 10, 12, 15, and they can put Boogie out there and they can, they're playing with a lead. I'm talking about a game where it's back and forth, 2-3 possession game from first to fourth. And you need Cousins out there to hold serve with 2 of those guys. Can they do that against the best teams? Because that's what you're going to need when you get to the playoffs. And if we're talking about the Warriors as being this unstoppable force, I need to see it there. And I have to say, the other part is, like, defensively, man, he does not move very well right now. People are going at him and by him. How is that going to change?
I think the reality is, Rick, he's the 5th option. We'll call him the 4th option to a team. You know what I'm saying? And if you match up pound for pound, we got to find another team with a better 4th option. Now, maybe by committee, they run harder. Maybe they're younger.
You don't think Boston has a better 4th option?
Man, Boston got more to figure out than what's going on in the Western Conference right now.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
You know what I'm saying?
If they, here's the thing, talent-wise, like I look at Boston's roster, I think they spell trouble for the Warriors. I might even make the case the Toronto Raptors do the same. Like, this
Rick,
Boogie Cousins,
those teams actually have to make it out. They actually got to show that they can make it out. It's just we don't see it. I mean, LeBron, I think the biggest threat to the Warriors, especially in the Western Conference, I'm not even just really staring at the East yet because that's just so far away. Yeah. It has to be LeBron. It has to be a healthy LeBron. And you keep in mind, Golden State's going to add somebody in. They're going to peg somebody else into that lineup. And, I get it. I understand with Boogie in the center position. Damian Jones, I saw him when he came. And he's still got that. That arm's not even going over the head. Mm-hmm. However he tore that peg. I don't know if they're saying he's done for the season or he could be back deep into the playoffs, but he ain't even moving that thing.
And he's an unproven quantity.
You talked about energy and effort and 5 to 10 minutes off the bench to kind of spell Boogie because you're going to run into some size in the playoffs.
Yeah.
There are going to be minutes where you're going to need some rebounding or you're going to need that JaVale McGee type of role. And that does hurt them if he's out. But mark my words, Rick, they're going to make it either a waiver wire pickup or a little mini trade for cash consideration. Again, no team in the NBA has expressed that they want to help them out. You see the Bulls actively spoke out and said, we will not be helping out Golden State.
Good for Chicago, as opposed to the Phoenix Suns. Who do you need? Oh, you need Tyson? Oh, yeah. We'll let him go. Sure.
Rick, it's going to happen, though. That's the thing. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Bro.
Yeah, okay, but you know what? Here's the thing. Whoever they get, unless it's somebody that I've seen in the playoffs. We're talking, and I've said, I'm not picking somebody in the West that's better than them. That's not my logic here. It's that I see 2 teams in the East that by the time they get to the finals, those teams, their depth, their hunger, and their collective experience is enough to get over them. That's what I'm banking.
Toronto don't have no collectively experience other than Kawhi. And Kawhi, I don't think he's going to be giving pep talks in the locker room.
They got enough guys. Toronto hasn't been to the conference finals in the Eastern Conference. Are you kidding me?
Look, Danny Green And Boston, bro, they have enough to worry about. They got
Oh, stop overplaying the drama in Boston. That's wishful thinking on your part.
Hey man, Kyrie Irving might not even be there. He's
gonna sign someplace else in the middle of the season? What are you talking about?
Man, it's just enough to break that deal up. It's just, there's a lot of stuff being uncovered over there.
Were you saying the same thing when Draymond and KD were going into their thing?
And it was a real hit to the team. They went into a funk, dude. Remember that? They went into a funk, and it was more than just Steph being out. Like they really took a hit. And I mean, it was a couple games they were losing. It was their worst span of losses that they had in years since the team had actually even been assembled, Rick. So I mean, it's a factor.
Look, they've taken some beatings this year, no doubt about it. I'm not going to equate it because of the KD Draymond thing was the reason that they took those beatings.
You know that was a part of it, Rick. You know, obviously, Steph out.
How much, to what degree is the question. All right. We could go on, but we have games to pick. We have 4. We'll pick the other 6 and put them out on the Bucher and Friends Twitter page by our esteemed producer, John Libby. But we have the Wizards visiting the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic are... do I have this right? This can't be. The Orlando Magic are giving the Washington Wizards 4 points, and the over-under is 218. I'm taking the Wizards. I'm taking the 4 points, and I'm going to take the over as well.
Yeah, the Orlando's giving how much to the Wizards?
4.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Wizards. I think Orlando is looking to make a trade soon, and I think that's just enough to kind of mess your team up.
And are you going over or under?
Oh, those teams are going over, bro. You're not going to see a lick of defense.
All right. The Miami Heat are visiting the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers are the home underdog, but they're only getting 8.5 points from Miami, and the over-under is 210. Where are you going on this one?
I'm going under. I'm going to tell you that much. And I'm actually going to take Miami here because I think they're kind of Jekyll and Hyde, but this is a game where they just play hard as heck, and they need to get back on track.
So you're going to take Miami. You're going to give the 8.5.
Yeah, they're going to give that 8. Yeah,
and
we're going under.
I am going to take Cleveland and the 8.5, but I agree with you in that it is going to go under. The Knicks are visiting the Brooklyn Nets. The Knicks are getting 10 points, and the over-under is 224. These two teams, if I'm not mistaken, have played each other pretty damn close. Here's the other thing that is a concern, is they made it known that Tim Hardaway Jr. and Courtney Lee are both available, along with our man Cantor. So with all of that in mind, the Nets are feeling themselves. I'm going to go, and they're at home. I'm going to say Nets. I'm going to give the 10 points, and the 224, I'm going to go under because the Brooklyn actually doesn't play that fast. I'm going to go Brooklyn. I'm going to go under.
I'm going to go New York here, and I am going to go. I think I'm going to go over, Rick.
So you think New York's going to make it close? You're not saying New York's going to win. You're saying they're just going to lose by less than 10.
Yeah. What does that matter, Rick? I'm going New York here.
Okay.
Not trying to sway my vote, man.
No, I was just asking. I was just curious. I didn't know if you were picking the Knicks outright. All right. Last game that we have to pick from, the Hornets are visiting the Bucks. The Hornets are the underdog. They're getting 11 points, and the over/under is 228. Where are you going with this one?
We're going Bucks. We're going over. The Bucks like to pour it on. They're still proving themselves. So their system, there's really no let up when they play.
That is true. They're more likely to go over. I got to go with you on that. And you're giving up the 11. It's going to be a beatdown on the Hornets, is what you're telling me. I can't argue with any of that. I'm going to double down. I'm going to say you are correct, and we're going to go Milwaukee, and we'll go over. All right. So that is it for this installment of Bucher and Hollins, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast network. Please check out on iTunes the other podcasts that are part of this network. And I have to tell you, so you don't strike me as somebody who follows triathlons or is an endurance athlete. You're not looking to do like run marathons now that you're out of basketball, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, what has always fascinated me are the people that do and that aren't pros, that aren't making money off of it. It's the amateurs and the sacrifices that they make. Or people that weren't athletes there, for the better part of their lives, and then they decide, you know what, I want to start challenging myself physically in a way that most humans don't. Well, Lindsey Hiken is one of those. But what was really fascinating, and I'm telling you, Ryan, I'm telling every male listener of ours out there, you have to listen particularly to her last podcast, because she talked about women and body consciousness, and especially being a good-looking female and then having kids, and the somersaults that they go through in their minds in terms of trying to hold it together. It was fascinating. Her last podcast was like 20 minutes long, but it was like, if you ever wanted to peek into a woman's like playbook or understand like the female mind and some of the things that they go through, you were going to get it from this. So that's a rather long-winded explanation, but it's called Age Groupie. She's a triathlete, an endurance athlete. She's in her late 40s, and she has a great voice, and her honesty and just the thought-provoking things that she brought up are worth it. And then we also have Gary Owen for the lighter side, comedian, actor. You probably saw him in Think Like a Man 2, Runaway. He's the goofy white dude, very funny, sells out his shows across the country. He does a weekly podcast called Get Some, and that's available on iTunes as well, part of the United WeCast network. All right, enough of all that. Thank you for listening. Monday, Will Blackman and I will be back with our next episode, and we will be breaking down the matchup between the Rams and the Patriots for the Super Bowl. Don't want to miss that. In the meantime, thanks for listening.